It has caused an uproar from the moment it was announced. A satanic statue slated to be unveiled in Detroit later this month.
But despite outrage from religious leaders, those plans are moving forward tonight. 7 Action News reporter Ross Jones is here now with this strange story.
Only word for it, strange. Good evening, ladies. Detroit has been through hell for all sorts of different reasons, from riots to bankruptcy. So maybe that's why one group says the Motor City is the perfect place to unveil a symbol of Satan.
Gather together to stand as one unified voice against this demonic spirit that is trying to invade our city.
If you'd been at the Greater New Mount Moriah Baptist Church this morning in Detroit, you might have wondered what in the devil they were talking about.
In this city, we will not allow it.
It is a 1-ton, 9-foot bronze statue of the satanic symbol Baphomet. And as you might expect, it's been having a hard time finding a home. It was erected by a group called the Satanic Temple, who originally planned to place it next to a monument of the 10 Commandments at Oklahoma's state capitol. But before it made its way there, the group planned a big unveiling here later this month. And that's what led 9 Detroit preachers to announce a counter-protest this morning.
They were kicked out of Boston, right? Oklahoma didn't want them. They tried to put satanic coloring books in Florida. Right, that was shut down. Now they come to Detroit. Why did they come to Detroit?
That is the question on the minds of just about everybody who's heard of the temple's plan. But according to their spokesperson, the group has strong membership ties here in the city. So on July 25th at Bert's Warehouse in Detroit, they planned the statue's big debut, with tickets starting at $25. VIP status runs 3 times that price and gets you a photo with the statue and a signed poster. But for the love of God, says the invite, please dress to impress.
This enemy that we're fighting is an invisible enemy, and it's going to take invisible weapons, the weapons of prayer, the weapons of fasting. Prayer and fasting, coming together as one, will drive the spirit out.
Well, prayer and fasting couldn't have hurt, but it turns out that bad PR is what really sealed it for Satan. Reached by phone this afternoon, the manager of Bert's tells me that patrons weren't exactly thrilled with the idea, so they've decided to cancel it.
So no statue, right? Well, not exactly. A spokeswoman for the Satanic Temple says that the event will still take place on July 25th, just at a different venue, one they will announce later on.
I'm sure that they don't want you to find out about either, huh?
Yeah, and I wonder who would go to an event like this, but apparently there is an audience out there.
Okay.
Okay.
To each his own. Is one devilish controversy, a statue being unveiled right here in Detroit.
But the group putting on this date with the devil is keeping some things a secret for now. 7 Action News reporter Ross Jones here with a strange story, and this is strange.
Very strange. Some have called this a publicity stunt, guys. Others say that it's just purely sinister. Whatever you want to call it, the group putting it on says you can't stop it.
From the moment it was announced, religious leaders have fought to keep this 9-foot, 1-ton symbol of Satan from setting foot in Detroit. They've prayed, they've protested.
Gather together to stand as one unified voice against this demonic spirit.
But the devilish statue is still on its way, now planned to be unveiled this Saturday at an undisclosed location somewhere in Detroit. The event is being put on by the Satanic Temple, a group that first wanted to unveil the statue at Bert's Warehouse in Detroit. But when patrons started to complain, Bert's backed out, and event planners looked for a new venue. On its website, the temple insists it's not a religious group and believes in the pursuit of knowledge and freedom of will. That includes, they say, the freedom to offend. And the statue is more than offensive to many. It was created in response to a monument of the 10 Commandments placed here on the grounds of the state courthouse in Oklahoma City. Ultimately, the temple says that's where they want to place their 9-foot statue permanently. But first comes Saturday night's unveiling, and if you're looking to get in some FaceTime with Satan, the temple would love to have you. The party promises dancing and music starting at 8 p.m. Tickets start at $25. But if you'd like to get your picture taken on the satanic symbol's lap, that will cost $50 more. Turns out the freedom to offend isn't very free at all.
So to prevent people from protesting the event venue, the organizers are not announcing where the unveiling will take place until the day of the event. Ticket holders, we are told, will be notified via email sometime Saturday.
All right.
Oh, wow, Ross.
Yeah, wow is a good word for it.
We'll leave it at that.
Indeed.
Thank you.
With a satanic statue set to be unveiled tonight in Detroit at an undisclosed location, through prayer and action, the faithful Christians of Detroit are saying not in Detroit.
Now they've gone underground, and I think have plans to make Detroit kind of a hub for the nation. So that's really where I think we've got to dig in. And whatever happens today or next week, you know, Detroit cannot become a hub for the Satanic Temple.
First is the spiritual response, as all Christians are called to do battle with powers and principalities, with the rulers of darkness of this world, something the Satanic Temple clearly embodies, whether they admit it or not. The spiritual warfare began last night at midnight at a local Catholic parish as the penitential psalms were chanted to ask for God's mercy and to appease His justice for the blasphemies that will surely occur this evening. The prayers against these sinful acts continued this morning as St. Joseph's Church in downtown Detroit had Mass, followed by a Eucharistic Holy Hour of reparation.
The forces of evil are real in this world, and God needs warriors like all the people here today. We're going to pray for change for the city of Detroit, for Michigan, for the United States of America.
There's no better way to stand against this and really stand with fellow Catholics and pray in reparation for what's going on.
It's something that we definitely have to combat. I mean, we have to do our best praying more devoutly, especially the Mass and the Rosary.
This evening at 5:30, Catholics and Protestants and all people of faith who want to rid this evil from Detroit will meet at Burt's Warehouse, the original location of the statue unveiling.
Well, we're going to meet at in front of Burt's, where the event originally was scheduled, just because we want to reclaim that space spiritually. So we'll meet there today at 5:30. We'll pray. We're hoping for a decent turnout of a couple hundred, you know, but whoever comes, comes. And if we become aware of where they are, you know, we have transportation on deck so that we can get on the vans and buses and meet them.
For ChurchMilitant.com, I'm Matthew Pearson.
Well, it's an event that's created a lot of buzz among local churches and Christian groups, the largest public satanic ceremony in history happening right here in Detroit. 7 Action News reporter Jane Park is live with us tonight. Jane, organizers went to great lengths to keep this a private, exclusive party. What's up?
They really did, Dave. Now, we are standing along Grand River, and the building behind me was where guests originally came, but shortly after they were let in, they were told to go to a second undisclosed location where we're to believe that party is going on right now. The Satanic Temple made it very clear it would be their members and their guests and not our cameras that will be getting a first look at this much talked about statue. The lines ran along the graffitied walls, at least 100 people eagerly waiting for what's been kept well under wraps.
It said dress like an animal or wear horns and tails.
Some drove in from as far as upstate New York to see the Satanic Temple unveil a 9-foot-tall bronze statue of a goat-headed Satan.
It just seemed like it would be a historic event.
The guests came dressed to impress. Each paid at least $25 for a ticket. Security inside was tight. No cameras or media allowed in. No cell phones and photographs allowed. The secretive nature of the event didn't prevent a few protesters from attending.
We figured, well, if they're going to unveil a statue and show a statue, well, we're going to show the statue that beat this statue behind the scenes in reality. That's, recounted in the St. John's Apocalypse that St. Michael and his angels defeated Lucifer and his angels.
Members of the Satanic Temple, who say they stand for the separation of church and state, kept mum Saturday night, focused instead on showing their guests a good time. Some came out of curiosity, others just to appreciate the art. And they say don't knock it just because it's not your taste.
A sculpture or a piece of art or a tribute to something that they don't understand is not necessarily going to impact their religion or their beliefs.
There was so much buzz about the night, Detroit police set up outside just to make sure the Satanists and the naysayers stayed civil.
We support anyone's First Amendment right to practice whatever religion they want or to come out and protest against that, their freedom of speech. So, we're there basically to protect the rights of everyone involved.
In the end, the group made good on its promise to make this an exclusive event. Guests patient enough to make it through the line were promptly sent out the back door where outsiders can only imagine the real party awaits. Party, we're told, is supposed to last well beyond midnight. As for the statue, it could end up at the Arkansas State Capitol, where there is a 10 Commandments statue also planned. We're live near downtown Detroit. Jane Park, 7 Action News.
Hundreds of people turned out tonight for the unveiling of a very controversial statue.
Yeah, it really is. The Satanic Temple of Detroit revealed the one-ton bronze statue. Their message, they say, more about laws protecting religious freedom than about Satan. Priya Mann joins us live. Priya, I know there were some protesters out there this evening. Did the event remain calm?
Steve Sander, Detroit police say this was a relatively peaceful event. There were a few protesters early on that tried blocking the doors so people couldn't get in to get tickets. They were told to step back, which they did. The Satan statue will be unveiled tonight at a secret location. As a small group of protesters prayed, hundreds waited for tickets to the unveiling of an 8-foot-tall bronze statue of a goat-headed Satan. Most of the people here agree with the teachings of the Satanic Temple, the group responsible for the event.
It's here, it's in Detroit, and this is fantastic that we get to experience this and we get to see this amazing statue be unveiled for all the world to see.
Many tell us they feel misunderstood and are quick to point out they do not worship the devil.
Mostly about individuality. So the one thing I don't like is the backlash, but they have no knowledge or have no ears open to listen to it.
In the name of Jesus! Lord, remove them. Protesters took the heavy rainfall as some sort of sign and even brought their own statue of an angel crushing the devil.
For them to come out and want to make a statement that all of this is horrible, it's rotten, they don't. I feel sorry for them. I really feel sorry for them.
I think it's like an unabashedly anti-Christian event, but I have no problem with that. Just like I don't really have a problem with protesters standing outside telling me I'm gonna go to hell.
The unveiling here in Detroit is historic. The Satan statue has never before been seen publicly. The Satanic Temple says the statue is a symbol for what they advocate, the separation of church and state.
This country was based on religious freedom, and tonight in what the temple is doing, this is a celebration of true religious freedom.
Now, it's important to note that the Satan statue will not stay here in Detroit. The Satanic Temple wants to take the statue to Arkansas. At the state capitol there is a monument to the 10 Commandments. They want to put the statue next to it as a form of protest. So again, the Satan statue will not stay here in Detroit. Reporting live, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
All right, the controversy will move south.
To see the unveiling of a satanic statue.
Very controversial story, much of it still shrouded in mystery. Fox 2's Dave Spencer joining us with that story.
Behind me is the building where ticket holders of the Satanic Temple of Detroit were told to come see an unveiling of sorts, a statue. But once they got here, they were told there is no statue here. In fact, we tried to go in and see for ourselves. We were told that our cameras were not allowed. We talked to people as they were leaving the event. They told they were merely given instructions to another location where possibly the statue was being held for its own protection. They wanted to keep that a secret. No matter where you stand on this issue, it's one that's igniting passion on both sides. It was raw passion and belief on display for public consumption. And this demonstration was a protest of the plans of the Satanic Temple of Detroit.
We understand that freedom of religion means we have the freedom to express what we believe as well.
There's more of a motive to get rid of religion or to make fun of religion, and I don't think that they should do that. Meaning, if you don't believe in God, and that's what the Satanic Temple group says, they don't believe in God, and they also say they don't believe in the devil. So why would you create an image that represents the devil?
This protest was held away from the unveiling site only because the Satanic Temple kept its location a secret, only known to hundreds of paid ticket holders.
I think it does add to the allure. I think some people are a little bit worried that there will be attacks. There was talk of arson from religious groups. So it's a little bit frightening and a little bit attractive at the same time.
What seems to bring this relatively quiet, passive group together is a shared belief.
I thought that Satanism was a deification of Satanism, or the devil, like kind of the Christian devil, which is totally not the case. it is more of like, only worship yourself.
And a desire to see that belief understood.
A lot of people that in fact are protesting out here, that they're more looking at it as a we're devil worshippers, which we're not.
Some were piqued by curiosity. What is the Satanic Temple of Detroit all about?
It sounded like an interesting cultural event, and I actually looked up their beliefs on their website, and it made a lot of sense to me.
Just a few of the reasons people stood in a massive line that stretched down Warren Avenue, waiting to see a bronze goat-headed idol that weighs 1 ton and is nearly 9 feet tall.
I've seen pictures that I think were the incomplete version of the statue, and it looks really interesting. I'm a big fan of art and statues and big first-time events like this, so I'm interested to see what it looks like.
And we were told that Detroit would just be the place where this statue is unveiled. It will not be its permanent home. In fact, it will be going to Oklahoma, where it's set to sit alongside the 10 Commandments monument that's at the state capitol there. We'll follow that development and see if that's where it indeed ends up. In Detroit, Dave Spencer, Fox 2 News.
Decoding the Symbols of Satan. This is Skywatch TV News for Monday, August 3rd, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. Last week I told you about the unveiling of the statue of Baphomet, Satan, by the Satanic Temple in Detroit. This weekend, the BBC published a story explaining the symbols on the statue. I started writing a report this morning about the meanings of the symbols. It's my basic personality. I like to know the way things work and what things mean. But then I realized that that wasn't the story. And so I deleted it and started over, and that's what we're doing right now. I realized the story was actually the tone of the report in the BBC and other reports by other media outlets about the Satanic Temple and its activities over the past year or so. See, in this particular account, the BBC story, which is the top link in our news feed at skywatchtv.com, took the symbols and their descriptions at face value as they were given to them by the spokesman for the Satanic Temple, Lucien Greaves. Now, Lucien Greaves is not the gentleman's real name. I mean, that's a name that sounds satanic. Lucien Greaves. His real name is Doug Mesner. And by reporting what he's been spoon-feeding to the media over the past year, and I'm guilty of this as well, we've essentially made the media a public relations outlet for the Satanic Temple. The Satanic Temple is basically Doug Mesner. He is, according to some reports that I dug up this morning, and it took me about half an hour's worth of research over my bowl of granola and yogurt to find this information. So it's not like reporters working for the BBC or any other major media outlet didn't have the resources to uncover this. Reporters at Vice.com, for example, turned up this information. The Satanic Temple and the Lucien Greaves character were originally created for a mockumentary. That is a film that looks like a documentary, but is actually a parody. The film was intended to make fun of conservative politics and presumably Christianity. But once Mesner realized how much attention they were getting for some of the shoots for this mockumentary film, he continued the persona of Lucien Greaves and the Satanic Temple. he gets a lot of media attention, and the media attention given by Christians, for example, who just can't seem to resist pointing fingers in outrage at this character, has also drawn supporters to him. So the Satanic Temple has turned into a decent income stream. Some of the high-profile stunts that he's pulled that have drawn a lot of media attention: the Black Mass at Harvard, a pink mass on the grave of the mother of the founder of the Westboro Baptist Church in Kansas. That's the God Hates Gays church. The pink mass intended to turn Fred Phelps's deceased mother into a lesbian. Obviously, you do that in Mississippi, you're going to attract media attention. They've also claimed announced a plan to distribute satanic coloring books to children in Florida. They've sued our home state of Missouri here because the 72-hour waiting period before a woman can get an abortion, they claim, is a violation of their religious freedom. And of course, the most recent is the statue of Baphomet, the hermaphroditic goat god that they wanted to put on the grounds of the Oklahoma State Capitol. The plans have been changed now. They want to put it down in Arkansas, where there's also a privately funded monument to the Ten Commandments. The real story here is that an atheist, flim-flam man, has figured out how to use the media and turn it into an effective vehicle for his plan to poke a hole in organized religion, to turn laws intended to protect Christians and freedom of religious expression against Christians, and also because it's a steady income stream. We in the media have been facilitating this man's career choice, but of course the irony of all this, and perhaps the biggest story of all, is that while Messner, a professed atheist, according to interviews that I've read, believes that he is spoofing Christianity and using Satan as simply a tool for his anti-religious activism, he is in fact himself being used by the prince of the power of the air. Real Satanists consider him a nuisance. Satan himself considers him a useful idiot. Doug Messner thinks he's playing a big joke on stupid Christians. The joke, ultimately, if he stays on his current path, will be on him. In other news, Planned Parenthood hacks its own website.